After quitting a corporate job, I started traveling more, I started hiking more, started climbing more. But I have to, put food on my table also, right? So
Exactly.
I was consulting quite a bit. I was
Okay.
teaching in various B schools, etc., mainly in digital marketing. We got acquired by Ogilvy, one of the
Right.
leading ad agencies at that time. I was leading that. I was there for a bit, but see, once you are on your own as an entrepreneur, and then you transition to something where somebody's telling you to do certain things in a certain way, which you don't believe in. This was also the time when, that wave of that investment started coming in. The first VCs in India, Indian investors, I think. So we said, okay, we'll go meet one of these guys, we'll get funded, and then we'll be set for life. Okay, that was how we thought. Okay. 3 months now, I mean, we started, NASDAQ crash, dot-com bust started happening.
Just when you started.
Just when we started, we had left our jobs and everything, right? And all this happening. But since we have taken the plunge, so,
Yeah.
we
No
have
option
to,
now.
yeah, so let's do it. I mean,
When it came to money, what were your plans for the startup? Like how would it survive? How would you survive yourself if as the startup did not make money for some time when it started? What were your plans for that? Coming from a middle class background, it's very difficult to take such a risky step. Welcome to the third episode of Beyond IIMB. We bring to you inspiring stories of our alumni, their personal journeys, ideas, and inspirations so that you may be inspired and live life to the fullest. My guest today is exemplary in leading life to the fullest. He graduated from Delhi College of Engineering with a degree in electronics and communication. After that, he joined IIMB in 1995. He worked in one of India's largest media companies for a few years before founding his own startup, a digital media startup, in 2000, at a time when the internet itself was in nascent stages. After that, he sold that startup to Ogilvy and worked there for a few years. He had a few other corporate stints before he decided to start his own another venture called Rustik Travel. It is a sustainable tourism venture, and he's an author, a filmmaker, and most recently, he has summited Mount Everest in 2024. Please welcome Hemant Soreng. It is great to have you here, sir.
thank you, Rohit. It's nice to be here.
We'll start with a few questions about your early life before we move on to your professional life. You lived in Delhi before coming to IIMB for most of your life in the 70s and the 80s. So when you were not playing football, what were you up to?
Yeah, so funny to talk about football because that's something I love doing, and I represented my school. I was a captain of my school team, college team. I loved playing that, and continued playing that in IMB as well. So back to your question. So when I was not playing football, I was doing a lot of things. I was studying as well.
Of course.
Yeah, quite a bit. So India at that time of 70s and 80s, this is pre-liberalization era, right? When things were scarce, and the only way out is to study and get a job. Jobs are also few, so you have to be, really at the top end to do that. So and my parents were both teachers, so the entire home, there was a good atmosphere of studying and doing something there. So football took a backseat,
Right.
and studied it. So that's how.
So you said that resources were scarce and the only way out was education. And a lot of us have heard this from our parents that study hard and life will be good after that. So what was your motivation for joining IIMB after engineering? Was it what your parents said, or you had something else in mind?
So when I joined Delhi College of Engineering, because I didn't have any set path of career, because that time either you become a doctor or an engineer, right? And there was nothing else. Maybe do a chartered accountancy, become a CA, thing like that. So um, my sister was a doctor, was studying to be a doctor. I could see those huge books in our house, so I didn't want to pursue that. So okay, maybe my brother studied to be engineer, and he had slightly thinner books.
Right.
So okay, let me go for engineering. And so I thought for that. So when I landed there, first year itself, I realized, what am I doing here? Right? Not the college itself. I mean, it's a great college,
Right.
made
It is one of the
great
best.
friends, but you know, I was not sure that I could become an engineer and do engineering related work after I graduate. So I checked what the options are, and of course, MBA stood out
Right.
like a shining light amongst all of them. And of course, MBA was the in thing that time. It still maybe is. Uh, and so that's how it started. And so I started preparing for CAT. And
The cat had come by then. as
yes,
friends.
yes, CAT
Exam.
was there for many years before that.
Right.
There were a lot of people after graduation. People were applying for that, and of course things have changed over time. I think there's more weightage on
It's
people
changed the
with work,
forms, yeah.
work ex also. Like I didn't have any work ex. I was just a fresher, so I just applied for it. I got calls, and luckily, I would say luckily, and fortunately, I got into IIM Bangalore.
I've heard you talk about IIMB as a place where you enjoyed a lot. And one thing you've mentioned before is that IIMB at that time was one of 10 places in India that had a T1 internet connection. And you spent a lot of time surfing the web. You were interested in the internet as a technology, but what made it more than a curiosity and something that you wanted to pursue later in the future? Like your startup, a digital media startup, was based on the internet. What were some signs that you saw that showed that this was going to be big?
After I came from DC into IIM Bangalore, and at that time we were lucky, really lucky, because we had the computer center. I think Microsoft donated lot of PCs to the computer center. It was, I think, one of the state of the arts amongst IIMs at that time. And coming from DC, where we were used mainly with old IBM mainframes, right? This was something on Pentium chip. Pentium that time was state of the art,
Yeah.
right? Was just amazing. And when you get such facilities, you are bound to okay. I think it was more curiosity. You start going to computer center more and more. Of course, you were doing your projects work and other things. You were doing that, and when internet technology came, right? As you rightly said, we were, I think none of the IIMs had that, at least a T1 line. Maybe they had a dial-up connection or whatever, but we did, and it was just amazing. And I remember the first browsers came, Netscape, and we used to even browse using text at that time.
Okay.
You may not have.
No GUI.
Yeah, we have done that, right? So it was just amazing. The technology was amazing, and it was not about thinking, okay, this will become big. I just liked it. And I think I just wanted to learn more and more about it. So just surfing the web, looking at, I don't know, lyrics of songs or, various other
Those
things.
were available at that
Some
time.
were available, yeah. Some of the groups I used to listen to, like Grateful Dead and all that,
Oh,
were pages dedicated to that
Yeah.
that time, 96, right?
Okay.
So it really helped me do that. And after I graduated, in fact, during the placements, I was looking for a job which had, an internet part, but there were no companies
Exactly.
providing that, right, at that time. So I joined advertising and media, and again, there was nothing like that. And so I wanted to get into this space. So I joined a startup. I was working in Mumbai. I just saw what are the startups doing web-related work, and
Right.
so one name came up. I just called them up. Hey, can I come? I want to join you guys. They said, "Oh, come." So I met one of the co-founders, and he hired me. Of course, he paid me half the money what I was getting, but it was fine. I just joined them. So that's how my journey into internet started, and sort of entrepreneurship started, because when I was working at that company, it was called DBS Internet Services at that time. It was one of the leading web design companies. It also gave me a peek into how a startup works, not just from a technology or internet point of view, but how. And it gave, and this is the time during 99 2000s, right? I think the first wave of entrepreneurship came in India during that time. .com boom was happening around the world.
Right.
Amazon had started just a few years ago. Google started around that time. Right. I remember sitting in their office looking at, okay, we used to use Lycos, Alta Vista, Yahoo for search. Then Google came. Okay, let's try Google. So, we used to do all those things. And it just gave me, I don't know, there was a lot of inspiration around, right? In my room, I had photos of Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, that kind of thing, the usual, right? So it just happened. I got together with a couple of my friends. One of them, incidentally, is my batchmate from IIM Bangalore only, Sandeep Joseph. And we started, okay, let's do something in digital marketing, digital media. And that's how it started. Also,
that's how Delta C started.
That's how it started. We had this thing, okay, we wanted to become big and do all those things, but
okay, so you had some conviction and a curiosity and a passion for it, but when it came to money, what were your plans for the startup? Like how would it survive? How would you survive yourself if, as the startup did not make money for some time when it started? What were your plans for that? Coming from a middle class background, it's very difficult to take such a risky step.
I think we were at that time very naive, very immature, and didn't think of all those things. We just thought of pure passion. Okay, let's do this. Okay, and we were and this was also the time when that wave of that investment started coming in. The first VCs in India, Indian investors, I think. So we said, okay, we'll go meet one of these guys, we'll get funded, and then we'll be set for life. Okay, that was how we thought. Okay, 3 months down, we started, NASDAQ crashed, .com bust started happening.
Just when you started?
Just when we started. We had left our jobs and everything, right? And all this happening. But since we have taken the plunge, so so let's do it. Right? So we continued with it. But whatever questions you asked me, right? What were your plans of money? And we had a business plan. There was a big Excel file. All those things were there, right? Projections, 5 years.
You had
all those things. We have done valuation, this, that, based on what we thought would be the future earnings, right? What we thought, right?
Yeah.
And some Gartner numbers thrown in here and there. Of course, that didn't work, right? Nobody funded us. Okay. So what do? You wrap up, or look for jobs, go back, or you try to turn it around. So that's what we did. We stuck to it, and I think that was one of the most invaluable lessons I got during my startup, that it's not just about investments or funding. It's about the business model should work.
Right.
And that's what we worked at then. Then we worked at getting customers, right? Instead of going for funding or investments, we started getting customers. And it started with one, and then more came. And that's how we sort of able to turn it around. And paid our bills, salaries to employees and stuff like that. Yeah.
You said that it was a dilemma, that whether to wrap up or go home, find another job, or to continue with this. So as CEO, it's always a difficult decision to continue also and to wrap up also. So how did you persevere to make it profitable? Like, what was going on through your mind to, okay, let's continue, let's not wrap it up?
I think we had bills to pay, right?
Right.
So you have to get money to pay them. So the only way to do this, get customers. So in the bargain, basically your business model is working, right? So we just did that, Rohit.
We'll move on to the time after corporate. You worked in corporate for a few years. You were at Lenovo for 6 or 7 years. And then you decided to just leave corporate. So, what was going on through your mind when you decided that, okay, let's take a sabbatical from this and I'm done with corporate? Was it like that? Was it like I'm done with corporate, or was it something completely different?
So what happened after Delta C was that we got acquired by Ogilvy, one of the leading ad agencies at that time, and we were there. I mean, 3 of us, our employees, moved there. We merged with the existing division. They didn't have any digital division, so we set it up for Ogilvy when we joined. I was leading that. I was there for a bit, but see, once you are on your own as an entrepreneur, and then you transition to something where somebody's telling you to do certain things in a certain way, which you don't believe in, right? Because you are, sort of working on a new age stuff, and these guys are sort of pulling you to the old age stuff, right? So there is a gap. So I had tasted independence, or whatever you may call it. So I couldn't exactly fit into the corporate environment when I came back. I was there for a bit.
Even after Ogilvy, you were there?
I was there for
quite a while.
Yeah, I was worked for a startup. Then I was at Lenovo. I enjoyed work there, all those things. But always in my mind, I always thought of, okay, let me do something beyond this, right? So it was always there in my mind. And exactly, so that's it, enough. That was exactly what you just said, right?
Yeah.
So enough of this, right? Not in a negative way.
Right. Just personal.
Okay, I've done it. Let me find something new, something which I like doing, right? I think that is something which was very important for me, that I need to like things what I'm doing. So that's how it came about. So
you mentioned that even while at Lenovo, your interest in hiking, at least, if not mountaineering, had already taken root, and you used to take leave from Lenovo and go on such treks. When you decided to take the sabbatical, and between the time you left Lenovo and you started Rustik Travel, there was a gap of around 4-5 years or so. What were you up to during that time?
So after I quit Lenovo, of course, you rightly said, after actually moving to Ogilvy, and I started trekking more, hiking more. I think I was enjoying the entire thing, right? It gave me that 2.5 years of hardcore startup, which burnt me out, sort of, all of this, I don't know, I felt like, okay, I'm enjoying much more, doing all this. This is something which I had ignored, let me say, like while growing as a child, I was playing football, I was doing, I was good in various such activities, and so enjoy that. So, and mountains is something was always, as a child also, when we used to travel into hill stations or whatever, I used to love going there. So it gave me a chance to, start hiking, and I started doing it, It started off, okay, let's go for this trek or that trek, let's hike here. And then it started becoming, more, okay, let's climb this mountain. Okay, let's learn some technical skills, how to do it. So, that's how it happened. So So I started doing more and more of that. After quitting my corporate job, I started traveling more, I started hiking more, I started climbing more. But I have to, put food on my table also, right?
Exactly.
So I was consulting quite a bit. I was teaching in various B schools, etc., mainly in digital marketing.
Right.
And it was very flexible kind of a thing. So most of the time I was out traveling or hiking. So that's how I was doing, and I was always on the lookout of doing something. I knew that I have to start up, and I was thinking maybe I'll start something in travel because I like doing this. But travel or traveling as a traveler is a different ball game than travel as a business.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
The business of travel is something different. Right. Traveling is okay. You are bindas going and doing that. So that's something I didn't know what should I do and how should I do, because it should make financial sense, right? There should be a vision. There should be some strategy. It's not just okay, let's go to Everest Base Camp and come back. So that took me a while. In between, I was involved in a few startups. I was mentoring them. I was helping one startup in the digital marketing space, and there was a plan that maybe we'll make it big, that company, and
Right.
I was supposed to join as a partner. But then I realized that this is something I've done in the past, like 10 years ago. Right? What fun would that be, right?
Exactly.
You sell it, you make more money, bigger money. Then again, you'll work there for the company for 5-6 years. Then it's the same thing that you're doing, right? I think me as a person is always looking for, new things.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe I've never been diagnosed. Maybe I'm in some spectrum of ADHD or so, for sure, because I keep on looking for new things. Yeah. So the thing is, we exactly, right. And I meet a lot of people, but we have been told, I don't know, by our parents, our families, friends, relatives, okay, nahi, yahi karo, do these things. You feel these urges, don't do that, because this will not work, right?
Yes.
We tend to ignore that. I did that quite a bit when I was younger, but after a point, I said, no, let me explore them. So when you read out my first intro and all that, I'm doing a lot of things, right?
Right.
So I just went for them, right? I didn't suppress those urges or desires.
Yeah. So one thing I've noticed is that in a lot of these things, you were not formally trained in hiking, mountaineering, maybe in digital ads also. I'm not sure if IIMB also had a course in digital marketing at that time when you were there. So how does one go about learning things and pursuing these passions while making a living sufficiently well enough to survive?
Yeah, that's a good question, Rohit. And I think whoever is listening to this, especially existing present students, they would, maybe take a leaf out of that. So you're right. Nobody taught me digital marketing. It was too new at that time.
Right.
I remember when I graduated in '97, in this last term, I don't know whether it's there. There was CCS, Contemporary Consensus, right? It's still there?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay. So it was a 6th grade course.
Yeah.
I know it's still there or not.
Yes.
Yeah. So my paper was on marketing on internet.
Right.
In '97, right? When there was only one website, Rediff, and handful of websites around the world. So in India.
Yeah.
So me and a friend of mine, we did this paper on this, and I think that's because I was very much interested in internet. I wanted to learn what is happening on marketing on internet, so I did that. And when I graduated, I was looking for places where I could learn this. Unlike today, there were none. So
Yeah.
it was mainly self-taught. I remember making a blog. So I still have a blog, hemantsoreng.com. I think in 2003-4, I created that website, a blog. I started writing in it, started promoting it for whatever marketing tools were at that time, doing
Right.
web analytics. Google Analytics wasn't there at time, so there were other tools, web trends, and
Okay.
a lot of other things. So what I'm saying is I started doing it myself, experimented, and learned it myself, right? During the startup, of course, there was a huge learning, right? Because you are doing these things for clients, different sets of clients from different industry domains, etc. So it was all self-taught.
Right.
When I started hiking and trekking, and this was, all this didn't feel like chore or work, right? Because you're learning, you enjoyed doing it. Same goes for hiking. I was enjoying the entire process, but when you're doing that more and more, I remember the first time I went for a hike, for a trek, a multi-day trek. I had this heavy, backpacks I had taken, I was carrying. It was really heavy.
Right.
Like first day itself, I was like, and I had put books in it, like a few novels. Okay, I'll read it along the way. Those kind of things, right? So it's complete no-no, right? I didn't have the right gear, right shoes. I think I was walking on sneakers. My sole came off. Things like that happened. Second trek I went, I think I remember Goichala trek in Sikkim. I took a sleeping bag, which was like a 10-degree centigrade sleeping bag, right? And the temperature there was sub-zero.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are things which you learn when you're there, right? Nobody teaches you. There were no trekking companies at that time. I'm talking about mid 2000s, late 2000s, right? Most of the trekking companies started coming much later. So these are, you used to go there. It was, I won't say alpine hiking, if you may call it, but you may call it that. So you go there, look for guides, porter, or whoever, food, bartan, utensils, okay, because all the cooking will happen. So you do it yourself, take everything like that. So that's how I learned. Even climbing. So after I graduated, after I left my corporate job, so I had more time. I was doing the exercise. Said I will do more and more climbing, and I remember enrolling for a mountaineering, a basic mountaineering course in Manali.
Okay.
Because the rest of the thing I was above age. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Above age.
Yeah. Like IIM, Uttarkashi, and Hemant Mountaineering, and HMI in Darjeeling, they're the top ones, right? So I couldn't get through them. So I applied for there. It's a 30-day mountaineering course, but a month before us, I had an injury. Yes, so I couldn't join that. So I haven't done any basic mountaineering course per se.
Wow.
Right? What I learned was that, okay, first time I climbed a 6,000 meter peak in Ladakh in 2011. There's certain things I learned. Okay, these are crampons, these are boots, this is how you use ice axe. If you fall, this is how you self-arrest, this is how you use the rope. I also started rock climbing. So that teaches quite a bit of technical skills, right?
So rock climbing was also self-taught?
There were people, right? So you go with people and they will tell you how to belay, how to tie knots, things like that.
Right.
So using, with those partners, expert partners, you learn them, and then you see the thing, Rohit, is, and it goes for anything in life, even in a profession, is that you keep on doing certain things again and again, right? Don't, of course, you have school, you have courses that will teach you something, but you keep on doing those things again repetitively, you'll only become better.
Right.
That's how you'll excel. It may become routine, especially when you graduate and go to your first jobs, right? There'll be a lot of mundane work which you'll be doing. I've come from IIM Bangalore, what kind of work I'm doing? You feel that, I felt that, right? You feel high and mighty that coming from such an institute, you're, right? You feel high and mighty that coming from such an institute, you're told to send a fax to someone. Fax was there during that time. Okay, so I mean, what is
Yes.
this? I'm here. I'll give some strategic inputs and turn around the company. That's what you think when you come,
Okay.
right? But it doesn't work like that. You have to go through the grind,
Mhm.
and that's what you do. So, coming back to our conversation, that's what I did during, you know, climbing and hiking also. And there were certain things. When I started Rustik Travel, I was leading groups. I
Right.
was leading trekking groups, climbing groups, smaller expeditions. And during that time, you learn more because you're responsible for the team,
Right.
right? So you better be skilled, right? So I did some courses like wilderness first responder course. I did. I'm a certified wilderness first responder.
Right.
So anything which goes wrong in the wilderness, before help comes, medical help comes, at least I'm equipped to do that. So, and I have used it in the past. I have done rescues, evacuations of fellow trekkers in the past. So it gives you confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
Rock climbing and learning things on your own like this is very different from the feats that you've achieved. You're an Ironman champion and you've summited Mount Everest. These things are not something that you just keep on doing and eventually you just climb Mount Everest. What was it that made you decide that this is something I want to do, both for the Ironman challenge and for...
I used to be a sportsman in school, and then I had injuries. I mean, IIM Bangalore, 2 years I had.
These are some of the most difficult feats that
Yeah.
any human can achieve. So it's very different from playing football.
Sure. But so, yeah. But what I was trying to say, Rohit, was that I didn't think, okay, I need to climb Everest, right? It just came. And it has come over the years. Or I didn't say, okay, let me try Ironman, right? It came over this. I didn't know how to swim only. So,
When did you learn?
so I think 2 years before I did Ironman.
Wow.
So it just, I think it became a challenge, not the Ironman, but swimming. That, okay, I had this in my mind that I should learn swimming because I used to run regularly, marathons and all that. I used to be regularly, with that I did cycling. Everybody does cycling, right? When they're kids. But as you grow, you started doing that. But swimming I didn't know. And when I was traveling, a lot of my friends were learning scuba diving, right? So you know a basic level of swimming to become certified diver, open water diver as they call it. So that was my first leap into learning swimming, to do diving, and it opens up a huge world. If you have done diving yourself, underwater is just amazing. It is beautiful, right? So I started learning it, started getting better. But Ironman, you have to swim in the ocean. Swimming pool versus ocean is a totally different ballgame.
And learning when you're a little bit older is very hard. Swimming especially, it's very hard to learn.
Right. Though it is doable.
And you got stung by a jellyfish while doing that.
Yeah. So I think 2 days before the actual event of Ironman, I think I almost backed out. Right? There were practice swims which happen 2 days before. 2 days before you go swim. I hardly went 10 meters into the sea and came back. Both the time, 2 days. And I told a friend of mine who was with me. Again, he's a batchmate from IIM Bangalore only. So, hey, I think I'm going to withdraw from this thing.
Why did you come back after going 10 meters?
I just felt scared. I was hyperventilated, right? When you're swimming in the swimming pool, you see it's visible, right? You could see the bottom.
Yes.
You can see your legs or hands, whatever. there you go, and the waves are hitting you, all those things. You don't see anything.
Right.
You don't know, right? You don't have that perspective. So I just thought, it just the mind. So mentally, you just get psyched.
Right.
It was just mental, right? Both the days it happened. Then I said, okay, let me try on the event day. If I don't, I'm not able to do that, I'll come back. Then I'll go and do the cycling and running. But it will be a do not finish. You have to
Right.
do each and event within
a
certain time.
Yeah.
All the three, right? ठीक है, we'll do that. I mean, it comes to that. And that night, of course, we wake up early in the morning and went, and the event started. And I was just telling myself, "Ki remember what you went through training." Right? I was just telling that myself. And stamina was not a problem. Just think of the training and just do that. I think it was just about that, remembering your training, about doing same things again and again. I think getting into a rhythm. So once I started getting into the rhythm, everything came up. So you have to train. You have to do those things, as I said, same things again and again and again. It all comes.
Right.
So that's what happened. And it was mainly, while it's a physical feat, but it's largely, psychological or mental.
Right.
And same goes for Mount Everest as well. I mean, before climbing Mount Everest, I have climbed multiple peaks, 6,000 meters, even 7,000 in Argentina. But there's this thing, 8,000 meters, 8,848 meters, right? It's mental, largely mental. So I was not worried about fitness or certain skill levels, but it was largely mental, and it was my own doing, right? So I just needed some push mentally to do that. You need certain motivations in life, certain hooks, right, which I call it, and which I found, right? So, I mean, of course, if you've read my blogs, like my mom passed away a year before, and that was a hook for me to do it for her. So I think it overwhelmed the other factors which were holding me back mentally.
Right.
So and then whatever the training you're doing it, or the climbing you have done over the years, the muscle memory you've built, I think that came into play, and that's how it happened.
That's pretty inspiring and impressive.
Thank
So how many times did you visit the base camp before you decided to go the full?
So before last year, I have been on that trail for 3 times.
And one of those times you met Mr. Shailendra Kumar Upadhyay.
Yes, that was the first time.
That was the first time. And before you decided to climb Mount Everest, you would have probably found out that he could not.
Yes. So
finish it.
In 2011, that's the first time I went to Everest Base Camp, and it was, I think that was the time when I think the thought seeded in my head about maybe Everest one day. Even the smaller mountains were looking big.
You were inspired by him climbing.
So I mean, he was one gentleman I met on the trail, 81 years old at the time, and he was going to summit Mount Everest. It's unfortunate that he couldn't make it. He died during acclimatization, but it was such an inspiration. And I think it just goes to that one comment which my friend of mine made during that time, that at least he died doing what he loved the most, right? So I think that line has stayed with me.
So you're fearless.
No, not really.
You are.
Not really. At least I think if you like doing something, I think you can let go of the fear, right? A bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So Rustik Travel is, one of its USP is that it is sustainable. So according to you, what does sustainability mean for your business and for other businesses around the world. And when managers are thinking about sustainability for their businesses, what are some things they should consider and what direction should they focus their efforts in?
Right. So sustainability, how we define and sort of embraces, basically the three pillars, what we call. One is that whatever we do should help encourage local livelihoods.
Okay.
Second, it should help preserve and protect environment. And third, help preserve local culture.
Okay.
Right? That's how we define it, right? Have we succeeded in doing that in everything? I would say no. We are still trying. But travel as a activity or a business, quite a bit enables that, because you are taking person or empowering a person to go from one place to other place, right? In that process, you're helping the local economy, right? Because that person will go there, spend money, going there only, taking local services or buying local goods, could be handicrafts or could be anything, right? And it gives jobs locally, if done in the right way. Another thing is the environment, right?
Yeah.
Is he doing that? If he's taking a flight there, already there's a lot of
Exactly.
carbon points which are sort of going away. So it has to be a balance, right? You can't do away with flying, especially if you're going to a far off place. But while you are there, right, at least you can, for example, a trek, at least you should keep your trails clean. Don't litter.
Right.
When I was in Everest, right, and you read it right now, April again, the Everest season will start, and the same articles will come back again,
Yes.
right, about A, traffic, B, the garbage you leave behind, right? Now, the authorities there, there's this organization called SPCC, Sagar Matha Pollution Control Committee. They're responsible for the entire season, logistics,
Right.
climbing on Everest. And I remember during March and around that time, I read an article that Camp 4 in Everest, which is just below the dead zone, around 7,950 meters, is littered with waste. And these waste could be garbage, empty oxygen cylinders, sleeping bags, stuff like that, right? And people just leave their waste there.
Even organic waste wouldn't decompose.
Yes, even organic waste, bodies are there, right? Not in Camp 4, but
Right.
up the mountain. So when I went there, the SPCC and the climbers, they are aware of all this, right? And they're trying their best to get all the waste down, right? And I'll say that on podcast. Even poop, right? It's a practical thing, right? You can't leave it there; it will not decompose, right?
Right.
So you bring it down. Each climber is in a bag and brings it down themselves. Things like that. And I was in Camp 4. In fact, I slept in Camp 4 while going because there was a lot of traffic. We decided not to climb that night, but the next day. It was not as what the picture showed or what the article showed, that okay, it's like really gone to the dogs. It was okay.
It is a huge mountain.
Yeah, but those places, yeah. So I'm saying there is a conscious effort by the Nepal authorities and the climbers themselves to ensure that keep the mountain clean.
Right.
So I think even that itself is a first step. So coming back to what we have been doing, even if we are not able to reduce the carbon footprint, which we try at each level, at least making our customers, our travelers aware of these things is good enough.
Right.
So I think going to other businesses and what is also happening, Rohit, is that I can't speak for other businesses, but customers are speaking and customers are asking these days, okay, are you a responsible business? Are you, doing those XYZ things with
Right.
regards to sustainability? Are your products, right, doing these things? I'll give you an example of one brand which I admire, by the way, Patagonia.
Right.
Right.
It's one of the most sustainable brands.
Exactly. So now, they make clothing, right?
Yeah.
Outdoor clothing and gear, mainly clothing. Now that requires a bit of chemical treatment with dyes and things like that. I mean, now what they're doing is trying to reduce the chemical compositions, right, in the dyes, making it more organic.
Right.
Now, such kind of practices will go a long way, right? So what I'm saying is, if businesses start adopting that, right, it will definitely become a better world.
So how do businesses adopt this? Do you think that it needs to be driven by leadership? Because, I mean, you are driving your own company, and with Patagonia, the owner is very vocal about these things, even though he's a very rich man. He is very much into sustainability and doing good for the communities. So how far do you think the role of leadership goes into, like, do they need to be very pro sustainability, or, I mean, as long as the customers are demanding it, it will happen?
I think leadership plays a huge role, right? In this case, of course, Yvon Chouinard, right? That's it.
Yes.
He's been a rock climber before, and he knows ensuring that all the mountains, all the outdoor spaces should be kept, what do you call, in a
Pristine.
in a pristine way. So I think leadership is very important, as well as this is the way world is moving as well, right? So if you're still, in the old era where you are just looking at your revenues and profit and not looking from a monetary point of view, right? And not from not looking at other parameters like environmental degradation or ensuring locals have their own livelihoods, right? You will not succeed, right? You will definitely not succeed in the long run. And the customer will ask those questions. Customers are asking, they are becoming more and more aware.
Yes.
Right? Why would something like a Patagonia become a big brand? Because customers swear by it, right? It's not a very cheap brand, it's very expensive, right? But people still go there and buy it because they like to own that, because they know that this brand has done XYZ things, right? It's very easy to have a huge manufacturing plant in China, or get it there, white label it and sell it, or whatever, right? But it will not work in the long run.
Last two questions. Are there any projects in your future that we should look out for? What are you planning next?
So there are a lot of things happening, and looking forward to things which you're doing. Of course, we run a travel company, but we are not a tour operating company that we organize, which we do. But we are more than just that. We want to do anything and everything related to travel. So, for example, of course, we are exploring new destinations where I go there myself, right? Many things planned this year, including we do hiking retreats with monks. Right. So this T-shirt which I'm wearing is that only.
Okay.
So,
I can see a monk on it.
Yeah. So it's called Paths of Happiness. All right. This has happened in the past. So we are these are monks from Plum Village, France, who and I mean, they follow Thich Nhat Hanh's way of mindfulness. So these are hiking retreats which we do regularly. I mean, every year we do. We've been doing that in Nepal. This time we are doing it in Europe, across Tour du Mont Blanc. I mean,
Okay.
it's called Tour du Mont Blanc, across Mont Blanc. So that is some, these are certain things which, we look forward to. Personally, I look forward to. I'm going to lead that hike along with them. Apart from that, there are many things which we want to do. Last year, early last year, we started a foundation,
Okay.
Rustik Foundation it's called. In fact, when I went to top of Everest, I had taken its banner as well.
That's very nice.
We haven't done much on that, but we want to do more. Like things like when you're doing this hiking retreats or certain trips which you're doing, we typically adopt a school or a village along the way.
Okay.
We have been doing that, like in Nepal. Whenever these things happen, we take the local school and sponsor the entire stationery for the kids. So we do that every time. So we want to do that more through foundation. That is something which we are looking at doing. And also enabling local, travel, folks, right, through best practices and other things. So that is something which we want to do through foundation. There's things which we want to do in the area of merchandising, maybe retail, within travel. Now, what you can't ask me now. That you have to wait and see.
I'll wait.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things which are in the pipeline and looking forward to.
That sounds great. One last question for you. What would be one piece of advice that you would give to current IIMB students or any other students who are pursuing business right now?
I would like to say that IIMB students are a privileged lot, right?
For sure.
And of course, you're the cream, you're one of the best minds, and that you are, and you do great things, and then more great things you'll be doing. But don't let that affect you, because I think your journey has just started. And use IIM Bangalore as a platform, as a network, to do things which people haven't done for, or explore things what you like doing, take risks, because IIMB has your back. Rohit, I'll say that. It's very difficult to say, but I think just go ahead and do whatever you like doing, take risks, and just go ahead and do it. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's something that you have walked the talk and actually just gone and done things. So, I mean, I think we can all take a leaf out of your book on this aspect at least. Just go and do things. With that, I would like to conclude and thank you so much for coming here and doing this. It was great to have you. It was very inspiring to know your journey, and I'm sure that our audience would be very inspired by what you have accomplished throughout your life till now and your plans for the future. So thank you so much, Hemant sir.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.